Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
The cosmic flight systems is one of the steps that will bring maturity to man. And we especially set up to do this in past 4 or 5 weeks. And now it's been set up primarily that is ready to be adopted, to be part of the operation of what we call cosmic flights. As we have finished with your flight testing people, your mobile people are the only ones which go through this process. Those of you who signed up to become mobile, now we ask you, those of you who want to be into what we call the moon and the space development, you'll become gradually involved. We'll bring you in the way we brought, the way you came, the way we interacted with you, the mobile, what we call passengers, will be brought in, moved from one place to another, and gradually we establish a new flight system, new arrival system, because you don't fly anymore. You arrive at the destination. This is part of what we call progressive development of the knowledge for us to be. When I walked into the system this week, it was amazing what I could see. When I walked in and I felt the field forces of it, it was amazing how much, how deep I could feel to not the essence of the physicality, but to the essence of the soul. Mankind is ready to take that a step up. And as I said, the new system's getting finished, hopefully in next 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending what our people do. We'll start the mobile system transmutation. As I said, our first passenger has been chosen. We have moved certain things to position in Austria that we can deliver, we can go through the process. Then we inform you as a mobile, what we call test people, what you need to do. We ask you clearly what you need to do, where you want to go, and what you have to do before we move. You live in Los Angeles and you want to be in Tehran. You have to follow a process. And systematically, we get you deregistered in the United States with American customs, and we enter you into territory of Iran in hand of the Iranian authorities. You want to go to Japan, it's the same. You want to come from Beijing to Austria, it's the same. Till we establish a system that the governments feel free with a movement. The biggest enemy, the biggest block for us coming to this point will be the government trying to control, trying to keep hold, trying to confine. There is one guarantee we will give. Anyone who enters these systems and anybody comes out of these systems will be peaceful, will not be an addict, will not be an alcoholic, and will never commit a crime. This is the cornerstones of the new development of the new technologies. Step by step, we have to, in a way, gain the confidence of what we call different part of this planet in each other, and in that process, that we don't rely on the world leaders. As I said to the American officials a few days ago, which of the world leaders you want to bring in to stop the mayhem? You don't need to take them to The Hague and go to rigorous ways of months and years of court. We want the world leaders, we move the world leaders to where, not the Americans, but where the society as a whole sees them to be fit to be there. Do we need to move the head of the states, which are what we call unjust, to a position of for them to be standing to their soldier position and return them back to their position? No man, no depth of this planet or universe is far away from our control and movement. The reality of the knowledge and the way we will touch will be shown in the coming weeks and months. As some of you know, we have started the shipment of the Universal Enhancement Units as of this month. And this is parallel to what is being achieved and what is going to be done. 6 units are getting set up to go to Arizona. 3 units will end up in the Quechua Nation, what we call center in Germany. And then the production, which already be paid for the materials, the assembly of will start in December and in January. And we start delivering what we call the enhancement units as we have started this. We'll see, we understand, and we process the whole technology in Mongo. I hope humanity is ready for the change to come. And I hope humanity can understand the change that we bring. And I hope sooner than later, the world governments come to agree that we need to govern as one nation to be able to be governable. Otherwise, there is no way on this planet that you can hide and duck. Development and delivery of the what we call cosmic systems, which can contain the conditions of man's life in the universe, is in the process of completion. We can change, keep the dimension of the cosmos fields as it is for all the universe, and change the parameters inside to the earth level, to the level of the fields of a dog, a man, a tree. You want to feel how a tree feels? Now, with the completion of the dimension of cosmic space, in a way to hold on, to get everything done, is possible. You wanted to know how it feels to be from another point and place in the universe. You change the environment inside the gravitational field string and the heartbeat and the condition of the field forces of the gravitational magnetic field of the position in time and space. You will arrive there instantaneously. As I said, many of you came at the beginning, and I repeated that many times. When you said you went to the depth of the ocean, when the first knowledge seekers came and said they could feel the moon and they could pick up the stones, we didn't laugh. We just learned from you how far our technology is correct. You can feel. Now we have to give you the physicality. Physicality could not be confirmed on the moon and Mars because we don't have the cosmic ray levels that it could support the life on the moon. Now we can. Now we have. And very soon, as I said to our colleagues in NASA, you choose. We'll take you there. And this is the understanding of the totality of knowledge of the creation. In the bandwidth of the strength of the life of the man in the dimension of the soul, we have the dimension fields of the universe and the universe. We didn't know. As we didn't know that our soul is in the center of our body, now we can move to that position instantaneously. It's for man to understand the dimension of the field forces of his creation, and for man to understand the power that this new technology will give to man. Man will live for thousands of years, millions of years on the planetary Earth dimension and size. We'll try to explain this in more detail, that gradually in the next 4 or 5 weeks, those of you who have registered for what we call mobile system, to be prepared to move. We don't want to bring you here to Austria. After the first 2 or 3 trials, we want you to appoint a place and a time on this planet. And then we move you. Then we put you there and then. And we allow you to be in that position. And you have to be prepared that whatever you receive at point of arrival, you have to accept, because that was your wish. You live in the cold places in Canada, and you wish at that time to be in California or Florida with your son or your brother. You will end up suntanned, perfect American accent, and with the clothes to be on the beach, which your soul chooses to be to cover itself. It will be very interesting. How many of you will make an appointment with your brother or your lover in the deep oceans, in a submarine, and how many of you will go in the depths of the caves to see if I can be seen, I can be taken through the earth materials? Test us. The only thing is, you can fail. Part of your leg will be on the top of the mountain and the rest of you down in the cave. It will be fantastic to see how fast you generate the leg you missed on top of the mountain. But this is now a reality, as the Frenchman felt the push of the soul, of the physicality of the journey. I, as I always say, welcome you to the new world of science, technology, and understanding of the creation of life on this planet. And I hope we'll see the end of all the miseries and mayhems for the human race.
Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 457th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 3rd, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again in these weekly Knowledge Seekers Workshops. And once again, we are fortunate to have the presence of Mr. Mehran Keshe, who will be making an announcement and presenting today's teaching. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to go?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, good afternoon to you, wherever you are. Whenever and wherever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, we welcome you back to another adventure of science and technology. And we'll see what we can do and what we might learn step by step, a little bit more about what is to come. Before I start, Rick, can you please check on your list of audiences in Zoom or a live stream? There is somebody new right on the top. Could you find out what it is?
It's at the top because there's an explanation sign in front of their name, and that automatically puts them in front of the A's. So I think it might be Emmanuel Spiteri. It's a Spiteri of some sort. It might be Emmanuel. I'm not sure how to check on that. I can't, we can only ask them. If they can put in the chat who they are.
Please.
For explanation, Andrew, Rita Spiteri. Yes, it's Emmanuel.
It's Emmanuel. Okay, that's good. Thank you very much.
Oh, good.
Thank you indeed. We go back to the teaching and modalities. As we said, we have a small but very important announcement to make. And that is, if you notice, past 2 weeks, we transferred the teaching to 7 o'clock in the evening. The reason for it, as we always been open with everything, is that if you remember about 4 or 5 months ago, June, April, May, and that time we came to you for supporting the Keshe Foundation for a big adventure which we set up to do. In the process of past few months, this is going on since last October of last year. We tried to take a new direction for the Keshe Foundation to extend and expand the foundation work internationally. We invested a lot of money and time in it, and many of you helped us, support us, donated to us, and Foundation used millions of its own assets to try to make this what we call leap of change. We could not come to any understanding of what we call operation with these people. And in the past week, on a daily basis, we've been negotiating, and we have come to a conclusion of negotiation. Hopefully by tomorrow night, it'll be settled. And we'll receive what we invested back. And hopefully, if everything goes okay, within next week or so, all of you who so graciously helped to bring this change in will be refunding you back the finances you tried. We tried our best to bring that change, but that could not happen. We could not see it. And hopefully by tomorrow we conclude it. And most of you who helped us and there to support us, if you gave it as a donation, will stay with us. If you lend a fund to us, some of you gave very large sums, some of you gave what you could. We tried to start refunding as we receive the refunds back to the foundation account. And we thank you for such a thing. It was what we call an opportunity we had to take and to see if we can bring a rapid change and very slow steps. And after more or less a year of work and negotiation, we could not see. And last week and this week and today, we spent time with those people who were supposed to do it and complete it. And we have come to a conclusion and a closure. And so hopefully next few days, some of you who what we call lend money to the foundation to achieve this goal will start receiving the refunds. And we advise you in advance because we've been told, we agreed. This refund was supposed to be done some weeks ago, but there was a lot of ducking and diving. They're trying to see if they can get it done. It couldn't be done. So we are in that position within the next few days to refund most of you back. We thank you for this help. So you can see when it comes back, if we need such if it comes such a position that we see there is a need for it, we'll come back to you. But all of you who lent money to us within the next week or two or whatever, will start receiving your funds back. And we thank you very much, especially those who gave a lot in the support of they were like us, anxious to see the change, but now it's gone for nearly a year in bits and bits. It couldn't be done. And what we call, it was an ambitious job, but it was a very solid base. The people we have, what we call, given the funds to are trustworthy and internationally known, and they could not get it done. So I thank you, all of you, and the people of that company, that they tried to support us to bring the change. But as we understand, international pressures are so much that they could not support it. Maybe mankind is not ready for it. Going back to the teachings and what is to come, you have heard what we called the discussion and the teaching of last week. In the process of the teaching, in the process of understanding, in the process of, in a way, coming in touch to understand the teachings from the very beginning. The very beginning teachings, we always explain, man takes 20% of the energy from the food it takes. The other 80% comes from outside, from exterior, from environment. The environment does not count the room and the place you're in. The environment counts as the galaxy you're in, the solar system you're in, the universe you're in. And we are affected by all these fields. We are made of totality of these fields. It's like you're a big, what we call, cruiser. You stop at many places, step by step, from one place to another. But you're always connected to your base, to where you are registered to, where you're connected. We call it the flag of the, what we call the ship. What is registered? Mankind is registered with the universe. It's within us. It's within the center of our soul. It's within every cell of our body. Is a building block of what we call the genome of the universe. We are part of it. As we move away, that tiny, tiny, powerful center stays. Then the other layer comes, the strength field of the galaxy. The other layer comes, the strength field of the solar system. The other layer comes on top of it, the strength of the soul of the physicality, and then the rest of it, and then there are. We can go both ways. We can go down into the bandness. We can go down into the roots. We can go back to the origin, or we can go further from origin. What happened to our soul in the future? We have the capability to understand what strength our soul has gathered, and in that the strength, where we land, where it's going to finish, where it's going to be, where is going and how is going to live, and what is going to establish. By the fields we gather, by the fields of the soul we gather. In this process, in the new, what we call flight systems, that we add what we call the cosmic rays, we get connection with everything and everyone. We become aware of their souls as much as they become aware of our soul. In that position, we become balanced with our environment. In that position, what I don't need as energy, which I received, or I use part of what I received, I share. Is open to you. You do not need to kill me as an animal to share what I have. I take the grass, I eat the grass. Do I need to kill an animal to eat the grass? But by looking at it, by walking on it, I can take the energy which it doesn't need and it reflects as the rays of green to me. And then I convert that field into food. When we study science of colors, what colors do they tell us why an object is green, why a plant is blue in one of the leaves of its flowers and the rest of it? This is what it cannot absorb. It reflects. And that is what is available to us to use. It's not just the beauty of the smell and the color, it's the availability of the energy, it's the availability of the fields that is there I cannot accept. We learned part of the science, but we never understood the science. Why, when we look at a beautiful flower, we get enchanted? Why do we understand with another smell we feel so good? Do we, have we not understood the process of the creation? In that process, mankind will come to understand more and more about the process of creation, about what we call progressive development of understanding of its own creation. With this process, now we see when we walk, we like a tomato, the color of the red. What does it mean to us? How much of it can be absorbed? We become that cup of water where tomato becomes that orange. Then gradually we start understanding how to communicate, interact with another plasma, another field forces of the universe, the colors of them, what comes out of interaction of their soul with your soul tells you if they love you. What does it mean? If they want to be with you or they see you as field of strength, not necessarily matching to them, it could be in danger to part of their life that you might take some of the strength fields that they need to survive. You cannot have this field from me because this is the cornerstone of my life. You move somewhere else. You don't take it because you understand, your soul understand the energy has been taken. And this brings to us, it brings to a lot of us the total new understanding. What does this mean? What does the humanity will go forward? We need to understand in the coming time, in the process of understanding, we will come to understand we are part of the totality. If you look in the back of the book number 3, you see the way the spiral of the fields come open. You are one of those spirals in that spiral. The others depend on your position, your time, your place. You move the wrong way, they have to move with you or accommodate you for that reason. Now we understand how man will conduct himself, how man will come to understand to be what it is. In the new system, in the new flight enhancement system, which are in development and hopefully soon will be in the flight room in UNO, we will see many of you going to different corners of this universe. We'll become the travelers of deep space. We become the travelers of this planet on this planet. We will achieve what we thought is unachievable. But the most important thing is how would we come out of these systems and how would we feel? Would we rejoice into what we have become? Men of peace, men of wisdom, men of culture of universe, or we try to abuse them because we see or we think nobody else has or nobody else could. We will come out with different characters, and characteristics out of these systems according to what we want to be. We go to a movie and the movie touches us. We come across another person who we talk to, and their emotion and the knowledge touches, and we change for it. In the dimension of the soul and the behavior and content of the man's life, the new enhancement flight system will bring you that opportunity. What would I be? What would I want to be? What would I like to do now that I am become aware of more capabilities and knowledge within me? What is for us to understand is what would be the future of our soul and what this soul will create in any dimensions. Does not to be need to be physical, does not need to be total energy, does not need to be a combination of both. Is understanding the essence of creation. What would this new energy will make of me to be on this planet, another position in the universe, or as an energy fields traveling the span of the universe? Can I become so transparent, so diverse in energy that the universe is not big enough? I want to be part of the universe. I want to see what's beyond this universe. Some of you, in the coming months, as you go through the enhancement units flight system, as a mobile transmuting from one position to another, will come across this. You have to handle it. You have to understand it and become humble enough to be able to explain the joys of it, not to become arrogant because of it. The enlightenment within these systems comes as you connect with everything, because now you connect to the cosmic rays, not to the fields of this planet, not to the fields of the cells of yourself. Now you feel the tree, you understand what it's trying to tell you. You will feel the man next to you, the dog walking across the street, another being on the top of another mountain which is in trouble in the dimension of physicality, and that the strength of field of the soul reaches you and you understand it needs help. We become aware of many things, not necessarily only limited to the life on this planet. The way we feel a plant, we'll feel another stranger on another universe, another dimension in another galaxy. We connect through the fields of the universe. Now you understand when many of you went through the enhancement unit flight simulation, you went to places, but you said, I couldn't explain. Many of you came out of the system and you said, I couldn't explain, I cannot explain. It just happened. Something, there were strange characters. I was part of them, just I was home. What did you bring from that home? Did part of the fields of the universe in a cosmic rays came from them that has become part of you? That you get that connection to be there and you see yourself to be part of them. We receive like the speck of dust we receive on our skin. We receive specks of fields of the cosmos through cosmic rays within our brain, within our cell of the what we call the soul of us. Now we understand mankind needs to look beyond his dimension of the skin. Mankind needs to look beyond the dimension of this planet. Mankind needs to look to be part of the totality. As we said, do we need to bring the world leaders to be punished for what they've done wrong? Or do we elevate that they walk away from what they've done wrong? Do we go to another dimension to reach them? We try to do this through the Universal Council, that they can reach the soul of the language to understand the culture of. Now, gradually, as you become universal members, you become members of this universal community, it's not anymore to care about your next door neighbor or to care about somebody you know. You care about everything which exists in this universe. But in time, man needs time to understand the new opportunity, the new dimension man has been given. In the coming days and weeks, as we develop these technologies, we'll see our own team will go through these changes because they're in it. It's not that it's built and it's just brought in and when it comes in that room, it start working. We see the change of knowledge. We see the change of understanding in the Keshe Foundation manufacturing team because now they're in it. They walk in it, they walk out of it, is within their structure, and they gradually become members of the universal community. Because now they are the front runners of receiving the cosmic rays, are joining the cosmic rays, are being part of and becoming aware of what's happening. Because when it's finished, it comes to Uno Center. But to build it, it needs for them, like you will spend maybe half an hour, they spend a whole day in these systems, operating, working, and then you will see them. They'll become knowledgeable in the science of the universe much faster than you who spend a half an hour in it. As I said, it'll become a privilege to work in the factories of the Keshe Foundation because you work in dimension of the universal cosmic rays, because you're putting the system together. It's like a conveyor belt in producing a car. But this time, this car is not just the door, the wing, and the chair. It's the total environment which creates inside and outside. And then you understand how mankind will see working as a pleasure and not as obligation. What would you like to be? And in what level would you see to be? How much would you rely on what you receive? Would we look for these places where you will see the manufacturing part of the system as shining hills in the distance? You know, this is where the cosmic rays, the systems to develop it, has developed. And they're putting it together for the others. As we announce the new production of the new systems, even every enhancement system, the new enhancement system will carry this benefit, carry this technology. When I was discussing with John regarding the 12 unit enhancement units in Arizona, I explained this in a very soft way to him, that more people benefit by sitting outside the system than inside the system, that as different fields of them interact, will benefit more by it. In a way, we'll buy this system and put in them and running them, that we benefit by what's outside, not what is inside. Then you understand in the future, we'll mix the enhancement unit for what we call the body and the material, that in that enhancement unit of body and material will create the fields of the cosmos that the man needs for life in space. In a way, the knowledge is complete. In a way, if you understand, now is how we manipulate it. In a way, where do we go to see this and how we enjoy the beauty of the creation? Very soon, very, very soon, many of you will walk into these places. Going through the new flight system cosmic way is not a privilege, it's a right. And this, as the system develops, will be reaching that. There shall be no government or no structure which can block it, because it's built by the people, for the citizens of this universe, and not for elite. As I said to the crown prince, he said, I want the unit for myself. I said, Your Excellency, Your Majesty, it's impossible. I built the system for humanity. You cannot have that on your own. It cannot be done, because then we become privileged, where we have all to be equal. We have to understand the new enhancement systems, which is coming into operation, and you will see the first, what we call cycle of them, appearing in the UNO Center in coming weeks, will become what we call the basis, the foundation for what is to come. Do we need to burn fuel where we can use the fields of the universe without the fuel? I was with some very powerful people this afternoon as part of our negotiation. And as we were going through the UNO Center, through the systems, I explained to them, do you know what is the biggest worry? If we go through these systems, the problem at the moment is global warming. My fear in a few years' time is we need to produce more CO2 just to get to the balance of what we actually need on this planet. What we destroyed, what we produced over centuries, past centuries, especially by burning fuel, the way we propose to convert soon, in less than a decade, will be short of CO2. What are we going to do? Then what are the calamities which we have to face? Or do we learn from now on to work with the cosmic rays and cosmic fields, understanding the operation of the gases and the gases, and understanding within the gases combination, we can create the gases. Maybe none of you ever understood, but just took it as it was. Gas in nano state. Cosmic ray. Cosmic gas. Understanding of the totality of the fields of the creation. As I said to our friends in the past few days, when you look into the beautiful pictures produced by NASA, where you see these colorful explosions and colorful galaxies being there, where do these colorfulness come from? From the gases in the state of the GANs created by the interaction of the fields of the elements of the galaxy. When you look with your telescopes, with your most sophisticated systems into the depth of the universe, and you see different colors, these are gases in nano state within the magnetic field of the universe. Now man, for the first time, can understand what he's dealing with and has the capability to produce them. We brought it to you on the banner of the gas that you can burn, but it was hidden within the knowledge. This is the beginning of the work of the cosmic rays. I have to play the game as the children only understand how to play in the nursery and are not educated to understand the knowledge of the university. University of Knowledge of the Universe is what is on the table. What will man and mankind will graduate out of this university, where he has just entered as the toddler in the nursery of the knowledge of the universe. We hide and we have hidden so much knowledge in the teaching that as you grow to understand, you find out what it was there, what was put there. Gas in nano state, game of the universe, play of the cosmic rays, creation of life in the dimension of the surplus fields of the universe. Has no life to lose, but the essence of the source of the energies of the universe. Now, maybe some of you who understood, understand, or will understand in the coming time what was taught in the past years and in past teachings had a meaning, but you were not aware of it. You understood it according to the intelligence and what you looked at. But now you have to understand it was written in a way those who could understand could look beyond to understand more about the world of the creation and the creator. In the near future, many of you, as you start traveling using the enhancement units, the transportation systems, you look and laugh, ponder, why did we make the machines? As I always said, man in the universe is known as a wheeler because they invented the wheel and everything goes around it, around the wheel. Now we are become what we call the spherical man. We live within the dimension of the spherical, what we call the soul of the man, the plasma of the creation. We have become knowledgeable to understand, to move from the wheel to the sphere. But the sphere is within it, nothing, has no tangibility, but it has the confirmation of the interaction of the fields of the universe. In the teachings of today, there are many hidden knowledges. It's for you, knowledge seekers, in time to unravel and understand, and within it to become a member, and what we call a constructive member of the universal community, where you add to the next step of the knowledge of the universe. You got to understand, you have no choice, as I always say. You're in it, you have to understand it, and then you have to teach it, and while you teach it, you become enlightened. Many of you are still in what we call doldrums of the Maghreb making and Gans making, and do not listen to what we talk about, the fields and interaction of the fields and the combination of the fields. If you build the systems, you build understanding the interaction of the fields, you will see the benefit of it as long as you sit and watch and try to push what we call material state of it. You're still in the problem of the understanding of the totality. We brought you the nanolayers. We brought you the gas reactors. We brought you then into Ganses, and then we brought you into the dynamic Ganses. Then we brought you in understanding of the soul. Go back. It's all the same. It's just which part of it you could add to another to create the new condition, a new dimension, a new understanding. But man is physical, and he gets stuck in the coils, in the windings, and the rotation. Rotation of the ball was not for you to see the gases. Rotation of ball was for you to understand the motion of the fields. In so many parts of the teachings, I always wondered, and I will always pondered, would our knowledge seekers become wise? And in a way, wisdom comes out of true understanding of the knowledge, be it love, be it physics, be it cosmology. Understanding of the cosmic rays, understanding of the work of what is fed at the same time. I explained this to a child some time ago. Maybe some of you will understand. When you make a food, you put combination of ingredients in it: starch, protein, vegetables, vitamins, that you feed the child with, that they receive the totality of combination of what is needed for its growth. Cosmic rays are the same. They have combination of the fields that each part feeds and reaches part of the soul of the man. Here we look at the materialities and material states of the potato, a carrot, or a vegetable, or a meat. In the dimension of the plasma, understanding the cosmic rays, we look at the different strength of. Then we understand the totality. Then we understand the position of the gravity of the knowledge which has been shared by man, with man, and for the development of the future of mankind. Go back to the teaching and start understanding the effect of the fields and walk away from the matter state. Then you'll find gradually the secret in what we call secrets of the creation. As long as you're tied up to matter state, you're still in doldrums of the physicality of the man. Try to understand the fields of the universe. Today, tomorrow, next time, open your computers. Look at the pictures and the colors which space agencies around the world, scientific organizations around the world put on the internet. You see a galaxy with a combination of colors. Now look at them as what we call a structure of a body, which in the embodiments of galaxies as a heart, and the galaxies as a liver, and a function of totality. And that gas, what you see is actual physical embodiment or dimension of the life of that structure. In the physical dimension, we have a skin. In the dimension of universe and unicos, we have the field strength and the boundaries of the fields of the magnetic field. Not tangible, but effectively in control of it. You don't see a star outside it unless it doesn't belong to it. You don't have a finger hanging next to your neck without being connected to your body. It has to be part of. Mankind has to understand the interaction of the fields of the cosmos and the cosmic rays, and then man has entered a new dimension. I explained to you in past few months. I start teaching you about the work of the universe and unicos and universal community. This is the knowledge which does not exist in the vocabulary of the man. Then neutrinos will become a laughing stock of what they are because we now understand. And then those fields and radiations, everything will have a meaning. And man will look at the creation in totally different way. This is part of, as we went back 2 or 3 years ago teaching about the soul, the new teachings about the universal community, universal structure, living within the universe will have started. In past few weeks, very gently, I've been pushing you that way. Now it's time to start to understand. And some of you will still be busy with magraphs and God knows what, because that's part of what it is to keep you busy. And some of you will jump into the dimension of fields of the gases and the fields of the cosmos and cosmic rays, and then you start a new life. Try to understand the gravity and the potential of what is taught and what is now on the table. Step by step, we built it, and now is there to enjoy it and expand and extend on it. I hope and my wish is that we gradually start opening the door of the knowledge of the universe by understanding the existence and the use of cosmic rays, fields of the universe, and their interaction on us, on our soul, on our physicality, and how we are burdened with it. We did not know that what we call something under the ground called uranium can bring us so much benefit and misery till we expanded on the knowledge of it. It was there for millions of years. Arabs for hundreds of years saw black material underground, but now it's the most dearest commodity in the world as oil. As man became knowledgeable how to use it, man became what we call progressive developed to make systems to benefit from their existence. Now it's time for man to go through the same process, but find a way and technologies and the knowledge that can tap into universal cosmic rays and universal fields, that new technologies, new understanding, new benefit for humanity start. Then we laugh and we leave those black bubbling materials coming out of the earth on their own, as we have no more use to it, as we have moved to the next level of understanding. It's very much like leaving a donkey and getting on a jumbo jet. It took the man hundreds of thousands of years to move from Central Africa to northern China and Canada. As he walked, and he used the camel and the donkeys and the horses and the rest. And now the same distance is carried out within hours by jets and within seconds by understanding of transportation. And all the knowledge has always been there. It's just the man needed to mature to understand how to use it. Many of you will understand and see the work of what we call interaction of the cosmic rays with the soul of the man and the new dimensions of travel, new dimensions of feeding the man, new dimensions of satisfying the needs and the urges of the man to be part of one community or the other, where he learned how to take fields in one position of the universe to be part of one community, and he moves into another part and he refuses the same fields as it can be detrimental to him in that position. And gradually we become knowledgeable to life in the universe. As I said, we welcome humanity to universal community, but we start teaching you, and I'm sure as man is a clever creature, soon will pass most of the creatures of the universe in understanding the totality. Thank you very much for today. And hopefully, my wish is that you have learned something new and start thinking in a new dimension. We'll go for a break and we come back and try to answer any questions which might be there. Rick, would you like to take us for a break?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. We'll look at some of the enhancement units and be back in a few minutes here. Thank you, everyone.
A plasma space. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before.
The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a space technology that allows you to work with the fields of the universe. Creating a wide range of plasma field interactions and conditions, it allows the body to process itself from any physical or emotional imbalance. Once this balanced condition is achieved, the soul and emotion of the man can follow to find their balance, elevating the whole of the man. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit. Technology of the future through advanced plasma knowledge.
The Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The very first new evolutionary spaceship technology has been rolled out for mass production. Embedding the essence of the new GANS plasma science and technology, it uses collective plasma field technology for changing and enhancing the environment of the body of the man. This new plasma enhancement changes the environment of the body to allow it to return to its natural, balanced, energetic condition, as in the womb of the mother, allowing every cell in the body of the man to find its natural, original field strength balance. The shape and field distribution in this new space plasma technology replicates the inner structure of the universe and replicates the balance fields from which the man was created at the point of inception in the womb of the mother, not only receiving balance in the physical, but also in the emotional sense too. This new spaceship technology can be within the reach of every man today and can be ordered by medical practitioners, sports specialists, and healthcare centers. The Universal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the future you have been waiting for, is here.
Okay, welcome back to our 457th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 3rd, 2022. Okay, we'll begin the second part of our program here with questions for Mr. Kesh. And our attendees, I'll remind them that they can raise their virtual hands, and then we can allow you to open your microphone that way. And people in the live stream and YouTube can put questions in the chat if they like. And we have a number of questions already in the Q&A and chats here. Mr. Kesh, are you ready to begin?
Yep.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we start with the questions?
Willing, ready, able, and hope. There's something I just got to remind you. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, we announced the release of the discs, which we put in about 10 sets. They all have been sold in the first week. And if you want to purchase, you have to put the orders in that the people in the factory will start producing them. They take about 2-3 months to make. And if we see there is more people to put the requests in to purchase, we start producing them, and it takes about 2 or 3 months to produce these new discs. But the 10 new set we put out last week is already been sold out. This will come, as I explained in the future, what we'll do with this in the use in the systems which we have developed for those of you who work for transportation and transportation. Anything else? What are the questions?
Well, there's a number of questions here, and let's see. Let's start with George in the Q&A and also in the chat has a question. He says, I would like to get in touch with the German doctors who, starting from last Monday, begin working with the enhancement units, as Mr. Kesh said 2 weeks ago. And
you have to go through the Keshe Foundation info. The information, the request goes through there to Germany. And the doctors will get in touch with. Some people have already made their contacts and they've gone through. And it'll be that process. You have to go through the Keshe Foundation, and we pass it on. It's just to protect our, what we call, the people who work with us. As we know, there are a lot of hooligans around and going around. So you have to get in touch with us. We do the vetting in the background or whatever needed, and then you go to what we call to the doctors. We are, as I said, negotiating with another group in Italy. There are some of them online, they know who they are. And we will add the Italian, what we call research medical team, into this very soon. There in Italy is a much larger structure, and in many cities in Italy, which you can benefit by the, what we call the wellness of the technology. We're in a phase of negotiation. They should be completed. We started months ago, but very soon, it will not be only Germany. You can go to centers in Italy, and there's a large number of centers. Will be more than a handful of them that you can reach them, and it will be part of the research and development structure.
Okay, thank you. Cristiano has a question. This is from the Brazilian community. The phrase, "we are here to serve and not to be served," came from where as a motto? He says, I ask this because if I, as a knowledge seeker of KF technology, cannot be served, it sounds to me like a complex understanding. So the GANs and all technology cannot be used by me. I learn and develop for the other to deliver to the other.
This is a very selfish way to look at things, the way I look at it. In the process of serving, you're serving yourself, elevating yourself. And if you have to be given because you do something, it means you're still in the state of being a human. And this is part of the understanding of the totality. When serving is not being in a restaurant and a waiter. Serving in the knowledge of plasma is making available to others to elevate themselves by not destroying or by the abuse of where the field comes from. It seems that you have not understood the language of the plasma and technology in the Keshe Foundation. Always me, when I give what I'm getting. Any other
Okay. And from Stephanie in the Q&A, is talking about black oil. By black oil, don't you mean black goo? You know about it should be the consciousness from Earth. You know about it?
what?
Well, some people talk about black goo as it's some sort of strange substance they have maybe in some kind of the underground technologies or something, but I think if you were talking about black oil, you don't mean black goo, you mean black oil.
Oil that comes off the ground, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. She's off in a different track on that one. Okay. Another question from the Brazilian community through Cristiano. I'm not sure if that last question was actually from Cristiano or just from the Brazilian community. In any case, the next question is, Mr. Keshe, why do our feelings affect our soul more than the thoughts?
Thoughts are man-made. Feelings is an interaction of the fields between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality. That's why you have psychosomatic emotions which are touched at the strength of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality. It's as simple as that.
Okay, well, we'll let them reflect on that. That was very succinct and direct.
We hope our minds are not sensitive to these anymore. You see, emotion comes with the different ways. At the moment, a lot of us, we see it, we hear it in the news, in the press, and it's a frontline. There are two frontline news at the moment. One is Ukraine and one about the women and the freedom and being free in Iran. Literally covers most of the news. If you look at the situation, especially with Iran, it's become part of the emotion, not understanding. Part of what people don't understand. As I said very recently to some people who are deeply involved in this situation, we are all equal, but it depends who tries to draw the line for what equality. That is to benefit to them. And we see the changes and the suffering and whatever which is happening in both dimensions, in both in Iran and in Ukraine. One is inflicted by another one who used to be part of. One is inflicted by those who are not part of, but they want to enforce their way. As we look at it, and one covers in on the cover of the religion in politics, and one covers it on the politics on the cover of religion. But both are emotionally based. I said, and very soon we address this to the Iranian government and the Iranian nation. Keshe Foundation will take a pivotal point in the present situation in Iran. And we are very clear about what we're going to do. And we enter on the dimension of understanding of the creation, scientific knowledge on the basis of governing with the knowledgeable. We don't take side or part against one regime or one group or the other. We go back to the origin. The origin is very simple. Iran is a Zoroastrian nation. Then, by what I call force of the sword, forced to accept Islam. And now we are facing the same. By guns and bullets, Iranians are forced to become Muslim and to cover themselves. The tradition in the past has been, when we get to the point of trying to understand the other side, if you remember, if you go back to many, many revolutions, people used to put roses in gun barrel of the soldiers, and the soldiers stopped firing. They gave love, they gave understanding, and no bullet came out of those barrels. The Iranian nation is Zoroastrians. When the Arabs on the name of Islam came to Iran, they forced, by the sword, now changed to gun, for men to cover their women. That they are covered up because Arabs could not trust themselves. Iranians were full of trust of themselves in freedom of the woman. What the Iranian told the Arabs, as I mentioned before, was, we cover our eyes that our women stay free. Now, our advice to the Iranian women is, give your scarves as a point of peace, not to burn them, to the soldiers to cover their eyes that you could be free. Do not stand the bullet. Do not give your scarves that blind them. Give their scarves that they understand it's them who have to be human to cover themselves. And this will change a lot. The point of understanding is emotions forcing another to be within. Iran fought Islam with the sword. This time is the same Islam forcing on the Zoroastrian nation what we call the gun policy. When the Iranian women go on the streets, don't burn your scarves. Give them as a gift to the Revolutionary Guard, to the Sepah and the soldiers and the police officers. We want to be free. You be Iranian, the way the Zoroaster has been. Think good, do good, and talk good. You don't need to cover the woman. Give your scarves as a gift to the Revolutionary Guard and kiss them for it. Do not fight. Do not burn the scarves, because once burned has no use. In a way, we give, we done, we make what we call, we've seen it in the Islamic world, they use the cover to cover them on the burqa. Make these scarves like glasses and give it to the soldiers, give it to the Revolutionary Guard. You cover your eyes, we stay Zoroastrian. We stay clean, we think good, we do good. So you do the same. You do not need to cover your weaknesses of temptation with life of us. The same for the men. Time of gun policy and fighting and creating upward revolution is gone. time is to be logical to understand and do this. We ask the Iranian women, don't burn your scarves. Give them as a gift to the soldiers and Revolution Guard to cover their eyes that you are free. Then it comes to emotion and understanding who truly is Iranian and who is truly what we call Ajnabi, a foreigner, enforcing their thoughts on the nation, free nation of man. We gave roses, now we give what they force as a scarves for women to cover themselves, that the man does not get tempted. Go back as you were Zoroastrians, men always said centuries ago. We cover our eyes that our women stay free. That's how everything will change. And then it'll go the same to Ukraine. Change of gun policy. Greet the Russians. Don't fight them. They dissolve themselves. Not to look for guns and battles and bombs and rockets. Look for a way that it brings peace with both dimensions without the gun. Greeting them, they can't shoot you. Greeting them, it makes them to understand you. This is where we will take position in respect to the present situation, as this will go across in different explanations in time as man become mature to the science and technology. We ask the Iranian women, don't burn your scarves. Give them as a gift to the gods. Let them cover their eyes, that you stay free. It's hard to do, but you'll find out they will not shoot. Tie your scarves on their guns, and let it be the banner for them to use it. Don't burn, because whatever you burn and destroy is part of the national assets of your nation. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. We have another, well, we had a hand up here actually, but from Azar, but it's no longer up. I'm not sure, Azar, if you still wanted to have a question or it was accidental. You can put your hand up again if you do wish to ask something. From Alexandre in Brazil, says, good afternoon, Mr. Kesh, Rick, Raphael, and everyone. I am Alexandre Perez from Brazil. My question is about the moment we are going through many conflicts as Brazil and in the world. Could it be because of the changing fields of the universe? And moving on, the work that Mr. Kesh has been doing for the good of humanity, there are many oppositions. Do these oppositions go beyond the physicality?
Not really. Beyond physicality is accommodation. Fields and entities accommodate each other. That there is no point of conflict. We know now there is a problem, as we understand, in Brazil due to elections. And we see the points which are running around the world with different conditions. And we will stand to see the outcome of all these in a very short time. You got to realize once these new technologies are offered and becomes common use in the next 5 years, or 10 years, or maybe sooner, people don't stand to be in the zone of conflict. They don't need to buy a ticket. It's not that I can't afford to leave the country. It's not what am I going to do when I go to America. I don't want to speak English. I don't understand the culture. You go to America through distance and you live like American. You speak fluent English and it's not your worry. The biggest problem for the governments in the coming time is how to attract the others to become part of their population, not depopulating. When you're not a just ruler, people will move to another part of it. They don't need to spend the sand. They don't need to get a passport or get the visa to go out that you can stop them. There are no borders on this planet except the man-made one. And with this technology, we bring that back. Then you understand the world leaders will change to be the justice, the correct, that they can have more people to be part of their population and the structure of life. The changes are drastic and it's not a promise anymore. The knowledge is there, it's been taught, and it depends how many of you, what I call decode it, and how fast you can decode it. How would we go through these things? How do we teach these things? You came through the understanding of the what I call technology. Now the true application comes in. It's very much when you go to school, you want to become an engineer. The first day you cannot put an aircraft together to become what we call builder of aircraft. First, you learn about the nuts and the bolts and then the structure of the materials and then the wind flow and the dynamic flow and the rest of it. And at the end of the third year, you might be able to put a small craft together. Where you have enough knowledge, you know which bolt and what to do. Now, the knowledge is on the same point. You've been given and you've been taught bits and bobs about the new flight system, which is yourself. Now it's for you to how to put the bolt where and what the strength of it in the dimension of magnetic fields to where to end up. It's don't look at the conflicts, don't look at how the situations are. Look in a way that in a very short time, you don't like to be in Brazil, you don't need immigration officers, you don't need passport. You just move. Those who want to be, let them be and see if they can rule, if they can keep that position. And we shall see. Up to now, men fought for freedom of choice. From now on, man will fight for freedom of soul. And it's a big difference. And nobody can give you that freedom except yourself. There are no governments, there are no soul agencies, there are no immigration soul control. It's you from now on, if you understand the knowledge that dictates where you want to be and what you want. Are there any governments in the oceans for the fishes and the dolphins and what we call whatever? Or do the birds have a king and a ruling party and a border and a passport control? So the soul of the man is free, both in the ocean and in the air. Birds immigrate without passport. Now man has the same chance with the solar system. He just got to learn how to fly and how to swim. And that's all we are teaching. The freedom of the soul, the freedom of a man to choose his time, place, and position. Have you've seen birds flying in a flock of hundreds of thousands and one having a crown on his head as the king? Have you seen only one bird flies all the way from North Pole down to equator and he's the leader? One is ahead and then he swings back to the back for the other one to take the lead. But they all know where they're going. When the head one gets shot or drops, the rest doesn't spread everywhere and lost. They know where they are going. They already have set a destination through their soul. So man has to learn. Flying through the soul is the freedom of the man. We are not the religious organizations as many times. We have a system now, we have proven, and more advanced technologies comes up, that you are free across the universe, not bounded to one nation, one place on this planet, that it can be abused. Any other question?
Okay, we have a couple of hands up here with, well, we had a couple. Oh,
Yeah,
yes, there it is. Marinez, pardon me?
You're losing many people, but
Yes. Hello. Hello, everybody. Sorry, my voice is not very high, very good. Hello, Mr. Cash. Thank you. And indeed, we need good news. I'm also I'm affected by children and blood in Iran. And of course, I don't think it's just for a piece of tissue, there is all that. Because as a woman, I don't care at all to go to a place where they put something on their head. I put it. It doesn't bother me at all, because I'm the kind of person, I would rather observe people than they observe me. It's more useful for me. And I was feeling very in safe place when I was in Iran. I was traveling. I was feeling safety, and I was free. It was security. The last night I was in Iran, it was exceptional security in these streets. And I think the police are very respectful also to women. And of course, what I see, and a piece of tissue, which the more we go up there, the town, it becomes lighter and lighter. Now it has become a very light 10, 15 centimeter tissue and hair all over. And that seems such a stupid thing, that a woman wants to fight for this, because in Iran we have never seen.
No, we have to put it the right way. It's not a tissue at all. It is enforcing your will.
That's right. I would going to come to that.
That is not the same thing is in other part of the world. To govern, they find different excuses. And it's not just a tissue, it is much, much deeper. It's control. And it depends on what we call greed of control. How much you respect life. In the Western world, in America, we respect life on the front, but underneath there is no respect. We've seen what happened to the blacks and the rest. The same goes in other part of the world. It just depends on which side of the fence of the politics you whistle.
Yes, exactly.
And the situation, what we see, is not encouraging one group or the other, anywhere in the world. It's just bringing sense into it, understanding it, why. And in a way, is I don't think ever has been just a tissue. It's been the way they dress, the way they can be, the enforcing the weakness of a man on a woman. If man can control his weakness, women are free. You got to understand the history of how most of the Islamic world got into this. Before Muhammad, one woman had 9 or 10 men because they killed the women before they were born. When Muhammad allowed them to have 4 women, they lost control because they could never imagine. If you go back in the history of the Middle East, in Iraq, in Saudi Arabia, there was shortage of women because they never had respect. And even when there was a woman, had 10, 5, 9, 10 husbands. When Muhammad said one man can have 4 women, now they thought they got the control. And all this mayhem has started.
Yes.
Where we're seeing what we call somebody who's been hungry, and now that he's given something, he's greedy, he wants the whole lot and more.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same we see in North Korea. We see the same in part of the East Asia government. The only country which, with its population, we don't see this kind of control is India because of its multiplicity of their culture. They cannot control them. Indians are totally uncontrollable because they're so mixed and diverse that nobody knows who sits where.
What's important for me is the social justice, that people don't feel bad because they are poor. And I observed that in the streets of Iran. I noticed, a few years ago, that being poor is not something to be shy about. And that was such a victory for me, for this uniformization of the clothes. And at the time, this cover of the head, which is now very, very light. For me, this uniformization of the women, the poor women who didn't have to buy clothes and makeup, they could put this and go to university without being shy. And the rich girl was also the same. So I think it's why we have so many PhDs, doctorates of nano in universities, women, even one with chador, which I don't care about that. But we have so much women from the poor level and villages.
There is a culture we have to understand. In Iran, most of the boys, when they finish their high school, have to go to 2 years of military. And that those 2 years puts a gap in education. Girls don't have to go to military, so they continue. The unbalance in education of we're seeing more women educated is that, well, compulsory 2-year military. If that was taken away, we'll see the same, maybe the opposite way. It's just to understand why. Then we see the same thing in many, many countries. Nowadays, men go on the national service, not women. In Israel, it's different. They all go on the ballot. But Iran, they're unbalanced with more women getting educated to the highest rank because they are not boys. As we say, air goes between the education. 2 years in military, some of them push directly from university, go to high school to university. This is where we see most of the unbalance. But this uniform clothing, we are not communists. And nowhere in the world, a torn jean, not having clothes, not putting your makeup or putting your makeup has made any difference in education. Very rare cases. They make it for us to accept. That's the reason, but it doesn't work. I was brought up to eat, to sit, and to live amongst people. And I didn't see it, I didn't feel it, I understood it. The first school I ever went to was a school where majority of the students were orphans. From a nearby orphanage, put all these children, boys in the other school. I never knew, to me they're all the same, we all were the same, till I went to their, what they call, living accommodation. And then my father explained to me, these people don't have a father or mother, they're orphans. But I said, they're all the same to me in the classroom. He said, because we want you to be brought up that way, that you're no different than the others. Maybe I had the wise parents to allow me to see this. I went through the first year of education with majority of the children in the classroom orphans. And the celebration of the school wasn't done in the school, was done in their orphanage. So clothes doesn't become the difference. It's the man who has to understand himself. They want to make us think that way, but in fact, it's us who accept it. We don't need to. If a makeup and a jacket makes you more intelligent than the one who doesn't have it, most of the people come from the one who don't have.
Another observation I had, which was very hopeful, that the children, at the time they were 8 and 12, they were so polite, so intelligent, and so much respected by the parents. The father calls his son you, a plural. And I was amazed. I asked the father, how come things have changed at the time?
This always has been in Iranian culture. We ignored it. They tried to ignore it. We use different ways, but respect always has been in the culture. My children hardly ever call me by my first name. Hardly call me as daddy. They call me by my first name because they're equal. I don't call them son. I call them by their name. They respect the same. They call me back by my name. It's how we brought up. A lot of parents, it's just that they call them daddy or papa or baba or whatever. And a lot of people oppose in why do your children call you name? They're children. They are human in a small bottle. I always said. Then they become polite because they're equal. You make a decision from childhood. They have a say in it. Not because I'm a father, you follow. It depends how we brought up. My parents brought me up the same way. We were not just a child. We had a say in where we live, how we live, what education we want. It's just the culture, how you are brought up and how you do and how they force us to accept. My children are in their 30s. They start calling me a papa when they're in their 30s. Before that, they've always been, my parents always, they all called me with the first name. Depends how you put it there. They never called their mom. They always called their mom with the name.
Well, I thought the reason why children are so advanced, which was not before, and they had goals, things, is because of this generation of modest women who went to university and they are so eager to learn anything they can find, internet, whatever, and the radios are so intelligent. So the women listen to the best educational program for children, educational program for health. They're so rich. And I think this is beautiful. This is a hope for future. And I'm afraid that the day the women, who majority are poor, they take out the foulard and this uniform, and they have no money to look like the people from the north.
No, you see,
the problem.
People have to understand the culture of Iran. What you're talking is a specific culture that's what they're bringing up. The money you spend on a coat, you can spend on something else. The understanding of it is very simple. The freedom is there. If you want to wear the coat, you wear the coat. If you want to be fashionable, be fashionable. It's the same in India. It's the same in any part of the world. One of the beauties about the human race is class, what we call gap. The class gap has been, doesn't matter if it's cultural, if it's educational, if it's art or whatever, has been the cause of the progress in human race. In trying to achieve, you add to. A poor person is as important as a rich person because the rich will become poor. And then in that cycle of next generations, they become rich because they don't want the poverty. And in that progress, they add to the society. And it's been a pattern of the life of the man. If you look at the people who become very rich, look at their third generation, fourth generation. Those children are poor because they never understood where the wealth came from.
Yeah, I'm not talking about my case, but I'm talking about the justice, social justice in Iran.
Justice doesn't come by clothes to cover. Social
integrity. I like everybody feels integrity, even though they are.
It's the culture of the nation. What we've seen in Iran is not done by the Iranians. The head of Iran parliament, the two brothers, are from Iraq. They are from other side. They have no respect. They ripped the nation apart. most of the people in Iran who are on top, they are not the Iranian blood. When you have a freedom of do what you like, you do what you like.
And also, there is a matter of Iran actually has a lot of young men, 20s to 30s, which have no possibility to get married, no possibility to get a house or something to get to be married, to go there. So if the girls are so beautiful, so what are they going to do, these boys?
Yeah, but it's the same around the world. In China, it's the same. In China, to one-child policy, they have some 20 million, I think, or quite a few million of boys, but there is no women for them. What do they do? The same we have in other part of the world. This is a social structure for humanity. It's not exclusive to one nation or the other.
I think the Iranian people, which are very calm, the women, I think because of this scarf, has become very calm. And when they see these girls,
always been.
Exactly.
The women.
I love that. It's so beautiful.
It's everywhere around the world, women are calm. It's men who make them violent. That's how women make men violent.
And these women who come and say, burn this scarf, are so masculine, are so violent, are so much not normal, which makes people afraid to look like them.
Actually, what we see, a lot of people like to look like them. Give the man the freedom and let him choose. Doesn't matter what color, what race, what nation you are. That's the whole point. You lived in the West too long, and you go and see snapshots. I was in Tehran. I was explaining this to my cousin in US a few days ago. I went to Iran in 2008, as you know, by invitation of Ahmadinejad and the leadership to develop the Iran space. While I was in Tehran, I came to know a family. I think I explained this before, but it comes relevant to what is today. An extremely rich family from north of Tehran, you know, the what we call right up north of Tehran. That's where I was brought up. And I came to meet a guy, and his son was doing system control in Dubai. And the father said, as you are a specialist, he said, can you help my son? And I said, yes. On Fridays, I used to teach him 1 hour, a couple of hours. I used to go to their house. It was the area I was brought up in, Jordan area, that part, years ago. And one day, I went to, I think it's called Safavieh or whatever. Shopping is just a hall, like a shopping center with a big hall, multi outlets of food. And I went, I took a food and I sat down to eat. I noticed suddenly there was a space cap around me. There was nobody around. I thought maybe I sat in the wrong place suddenly. I ate my food. I left. As I came out of this compound and what used to be the Pahlavi, the main street between north and south of Tehran, I noticed the same thing as what we see in the news. A girl was getting dragged into a van, and there was a lot of shouting and howling, and suddenly it stopped. Suddenly, as I came out, it stopped. And those days, 2008, I used to walk with ties in Iran, which was very unheard of. A lot of people used to make comment, how come this guy can't wear a tie and nobody tells him anything? And suddenly everything stopped. And the girl was left on the floor and the van disappeared. I thought, very strange. I didn't take notice of it. I went the next Friday to teach the boy, who was in his early 20s. And he said, oh, you were having food in that place. I said, why didn't you join me? It would have been nice to have a meal together. He said, I tried. The security people didn't let me. He said, the professor is eating. I said, I'm his student. He said, no, he's eating. They cleared the place in the restaurant that nobody's in touch with me. And when I went out seeing such a thing, they must have told people to drop. He's here, he cannot see these things. That's 14 years ago. And when I hear about what happened in Iran in the case of this woman, I've seen it in my own eyes. We cannot force on people our decisions. We have to have the freedom of. Years later, he told me what I saw and what was the reason the girl was let go. We do not see when we are in it. And we go on the two extremes. Society has to be free. You see a lot of women in the West put the scarves and hat on. Nobody forces them. It has to be the same. In Iran, when we were children, chador was free. Whoever wanted wore it, who didn't want it, didn't wear it. It's not just a piece of tissue, it's understanding the cultural freedom of a man. And now, if we teach these things, many times I thought, now that we're coming to this level of understanding, the girls in Iran, they don't need to get shot at, or the boys. You travel with the soul, you go to the United States, you go to Africa, you go to another planet. Nobody can rule over religion or the politics of a man. The technology brings that freedom. When 200 years ago, our grandparents traveled from Palestine to Ashgabat and to Kazakhstan once or twice a year, where were the borders? Did anybody check them? Did they carry a passport? They had the freedom to go where they wanted. We allowed this control, and now with the knowledge and technology, we're gaining our freedom back. We wrote a letter to the Austrian government recently. Our people spoke to the officers, the letters going out with them, and we have informed the Americans, or in a way, we want immigration officers in Linz. And when I spoke to American embassy and officials last week, that we want the Americans to allow us, that the Americans can come to Austria and where they will the person to come, they can issue the exit that he's left the country. They cannot understand it. Mr. Kesh will send it to the White House. They are making a decision on it. We'll come back to you. Your agents will call you. What is their freedom? It's the knowledge and technology is not anymore what I call a piece of cloth. Now, if the Iranians learn that they can travel through the soul to the United States or to Brazil or somewhere else, would they stay? That's all. That's all it is. The technology brings that change, and it's not on the verge of. Nearly 200 of you have been through it.
I hope technology gets fast enough to everywhere.
We're trying to do it. That's why today's teaching moved from night to day, because we tried for a year to do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any other question?
Yes, we have a number of hands up here. I think Salmia was first, and then we have Dean and Lynn and Ali.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Hello, Mr. Kesh. You said that climate change is a priority, a challenge for humanity, for planet. In this context, we do something, I mean, foundation, and also human being, and maybe creative society could be a solution. On 12th November will be a big conference or a summit, something like this, about this subject. Thank you very much.
Can you repeat?
Yes.
Yeah, what was your question? I didn't understand.
My question is if creative society could alleviate, could be a solution for climate change and for a better life on this earth, for progress and development, spiritual and physical development. In this context of climate change. Because on 12th November will be a big summit about this subject, how we can create a creative society which is not democratical. Model of society is not democratical and is not a dictatorship. It's something else, a creative society, a third way.
I don't know. I don't understand.
Don't have a clue what you're talking about, so we will have to have a reference to it and try to define the term creative society. What does that mean? Is that anything that's other than the societies we have now? You better redefine your question and come back later or something, Salmia.
Yes, when I went in, I travel in Belgium. I travel with somebody from Ninove, which was the same birthday like mine, and I contacted there people working for creative society. And at that time, I wasn't able to understand what means, because
Okay,
I was very young.
Perhaps, yes.
And
well,
now,
we don't understand what you're talking about either.
Yes,
so you would have to explain it all to us, and we don't have time for that today, unfortunately.
Yeah, like creative society, I mean, to create another way of living together.
Isn't that what we're doing through the Keshe Foundation and what Knowledge Seekers are doing?
Yes, and my proposal was maybe we can collaborate with them and give us a model and an example, for example, and to work less, for example, 4 hours, and to have a general revenue, fixed revenue.
Is that all part of what we have in the Keshe Foundation and what Knowledge Seekers are doing? I don't understand what you're getting at. Do you want Mr. Keshe to go to this webinar thing? Or
yes.
Oh,
yes, you are right.
I see.
And to be there an expert, and maybe we can imagine something and help Mr. Keshe, and Mr. Keshe can help us to understand.
Sure, he might be interested, but you'd have to send all that information to the proper channels so that he can have a look at it. He can't make a decision here right now to
we
go
get
to some
we
conference.
get suggested and invited to many of the things. Keshe Foundation has to stay independent, and we keep it that way. And the whole structure is always say, when is the time right for something, it will happen. There's no use pushing it. Try. We are there. There are people of different societies who understand what we do, and we keep it that way. We have to go the way, and as much as people can understand, can support themselves to be part of. Any other question?
Okay, Dean, I think you're next.
Thank you, Rick. Good evening, Mr. Keshe.
Hi.
Mr. Keshe, you spoke about you switched a system on in the flight room in the exhibition hall in Linz a little while ago. You said that you made an intention that took you off your feet. How's that going? How's the elevation of the soul expanding across?
That unit is not in UNO Center yet. That unit is in getting developed to go to UNO Center.
Okay.
The unit, which you haven't seen it yet, we are there every time. Just give it a few more weeks, it'll be there. I think when we install these 4 new units, which is getting constructed and put together, will change a lot around the UNO Center, because they are not confined within the power they carry. The strength of the fields they carry will be felt in the long distances from the center. And I'm sure your cameras 2 meters away will detect it.
So, Mr. Keshe, if you were to elevate the soul of a hydrogen or any element, would that affect the totality?
Of course.
So the cell in a body, an atom, if it was to elevate that particular soul, it would affect the body?
Of course.
And so if we go from an atom to a universe, if we elevate from a viewpoint,
The soul of the universe, you elevate the soul of the whole universe.
and does a soul present in the moment? One of the beautiful people that are listening are wonderful souls that are feeling the presence of the fields in this very moment, in the moment that they are present themselves. Would they have that capability?
Of course. Oh, we all have. We all have. In the past few days, and especially past few days, we started the process of elevating the soul of the humanity in a very specific way. And in a way, gradually extending the boundaries of the what we call understanding. When we talk elevation, it's not that you're becoming bigger, is you come to understand more. You come to be more humble with it. I was sent a video by Dr. Barapur, I think, a few days ago, where in that video, the Turkish president or the prime minister Erdogan is with Putin. And he says Putin has realized that he's lost the war and he's trying to find a way out of it. And he'll try to negotiate a way for him to get out of what's happened in Ukraine and the rest of it. And I thought, how much of it depends on the knowledge seekers who are elevated his soul? Or is it just a coincidence?
Mr. Kesh, if we had any world leaders, souls, present that have received?
Yes.
And they will respond in their physicality?
Of course they do. It's like you watering a plant. When you water a plant, it shows in its physicality. In the condition of the man, you elevate the soul. You give energy to the soul of the man. Of course it does.
Do we see this elevation
You
from
see,
that person expanding out from them once they receive it?
oh yes, you see, we are looking, just because I did, it has to happen. First of all, what do you think you've done? Is it at the level he can receive? And is it at the point he can receive? You can take a horse, as we say in English, to the water, but you cannot make it to drink. But when he drinks, he thanks you for taking him to the water. We have to realize, just because I did and it didn't happen, it doesn't work. This is how we perceive has to be. We make it available. Would it elevate? We see videos coming out of China in past few days and weeks, which is literally destroying me inside. Why? What is coming out in Hunan with the COVID? What we see in other part of China, what we see in Iran with the youngsters, what we see in Ukraine, what we see now in Brazil with the elections. I sit on the position that forever these informations are filtered to the top. And the only thing we do, we don't interfere. We elevate the whole of the nation. Go back a few weeks ago, before we saw these problems in Iran, 2 or 3 weeks before that, I said we cut our hands from Iran, any collaboration and cooperation, because our soul knew what is to come. It wasn't coincidental. Just go on a recording of past 2 months, find where I said it, and see what happened. We usually give it 14 days. We see things. You see that the position, we pick countries because we are in touch with, we see it. We have one of our, some of you know, somebody who's very close to the Keshe Foundation from Australia. The person doesn't want to leave till the government is changed and the world government is changed, because it doesn't fit the image they have. So Australia has been backwards to do everything possible to control everything. We see Canadians talk about the prime minister, worst thing happened. Americans are with the other ones. We always complain about the world leaders we choose, we elect to be. But do we elevate their souls that they become just and correct leaders? Or they are sold before even come to power because they signed so many agreements? Don't expect just because I elevated, I get. Expect what will come out of it if it's good for that elevation. Not just because I thought is there. Just past few minutes, we listened to Mahnos. how she speaks, how beautiful and peacul is in Iran. She just come back past few days or weeks from there. But because we want to see that, but we see the others with the other side, which is coming through the social media, which is coming through Keshe Foundation members around Iran. We see the massacres in Ukraine, which are continuously get reported. It's not just one, it's all over the world. Mankind has to be elevated as a whole, that nowhere we have this position. If you see the videos, the correspondence, the things which I received from China in past few weeks, I sometimes don't want to exist. If you think the situation in Iran is harsh, look at the other places around the world. Just because Fox has decided not to report it, like Keshe Foundation, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But our job is to change what this planet missed, putting the energy back that it finds peace with itself, the soul of the man and the physicality of the man. Soon you a lot understand what and how it works. It's not just elevating the soul of the man, it's bringing balance between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man. Then you find peace.
So from a perspective, Mr. Keshe, of being outside, if this planet is part of a much bigger totality, then if we look at the cell of a human being and the cell of this planet, then to elevate the planet, do we need to give you more energy to be able to bring this forward in an instant, in a moment?
Not me. I'm not nobody. I'm one of you. I'm a knowledge seeker. It's us to become in control of our freedom of our fields and energies. We're not making another prophet. We're not making another temple. We're all equal. It's just some of us understand more. Some of us has access to more. And some of us can create for a lot of us to benefit from that access.
So the picture on the screen, Mr. Keshe, the image of this this painting with the Ganses, is humanity receiving the plasma waters? Is it ready to drink from them?
He's been drinking from it, but he's not aware of it.
Okay.
It's always been there. It's always been there. I was in the center today. I had a very amazing experience today. As I said, be a part of all what we're trying to do. And as you know, we support it. We had to get them today into the center. We were all in there. And all the ones who are trying to do it and the ones who are trying to see how we can save it to do it. And we came to the conclusion, whatever. And we went into the flight room, and one of them said, now we understand what this technology is and what needs to be done. We never understood till now. And even here, we think we understand. With ordinary people, you come into an enhancement unit with the people who are world decision makers. Two of them are in Keshe Foundation Center today. We past 2 days, we shut everything down. Nobody could come in. This because some of the most powerful men in the world in given position were in the center. And one of them is a friend, and the other one we know for a long time. They wanted to be in the. They changed government, these people. They're that powerful. Their decision can change governments anywhere around. They wanted to be in the center today. They spent a couple of hours, And they came as a man. They left as a confused man. They didn't know exactly what to do anymore. That's why we went for this a year ago. We canceled all the meetings. Even today's teaching was moved because of these people. And they came in and they could not believe what was on the first floor and the ground floor and in the flight room. And to me, that was a massive elevation of knowledge and the soul. That's why we, after a year, could win, because these top guys don't get passed up the total knowledge. This time they came to see the total knowledge.
Did they feel it, Mr. Kess? Did they feel the fields? Did they experience it?
They felt more than the fields. They felt the knowledge and what carries. And there are most powerful hidden people. They wanted to be. I mean, if you were in the center past 2 days, there was no entry for no one. We left 2 days cleaned and nobody touches anything. They're respected by world leaders for what they do, and that's why they are. These are the people we went for support, for the expansion of their foundation, and we spent a lot of time and finances. You and a lot of other people supported it. But the conclusion is humanity ready for such a thing? I entertain some of the top military people sometime 12, 1 o'clock at night without anybody knowing into the center. They want to see, they want to feel. They want to know what is there to change.
So when they experience this, Mr. Kesh, on a soul level, they come to understand that we're all equal, we're all the same. And that
some of them look at it, what can I do with this that become more powerful for me? I've seen that.
we know that won't happen with the plasma.
That's the thought, that's the human. That's the human.
And so when we get a position where certain people on the planet, like NASA, let's say, that have been put in a position to experience other planets, when they experience it on a flight room experience themselves, do you think that their soul is touched so much that when they go back to give this information to their peers, their colleagues, do they totally understand what is being given?
Not really. I keep on telling them. You've got to realize a large number of NASA staff listen even today now into these teachings. We encourage them continuously to go back to the teaching. Last week, 2 weeks ago, listen to that part. Some of the NASA scientists are online now. They know who they are. Top, on the right, on the echelon top to NASA are online or listen today or later on. The same with the Chinese space, the same with the Iranian space. In many of the communications with these people, I refer them to go to the teaching, and they go and teach because we monitor it. They go and they come back with a question, or they ponder something somewhere. Those who are, you got to realize, one of the top directors of NASA has been an Iranian, Mr. Nadwi. He's very close to the Foundation. He has followed the foundation from when I started the Keshe Foundation. When I released the first technologies and when he was still as part of the staff in 1985. He's on the board of NASA. He's a board of management of NASA. He's a very high-ranking in NASA people. We always had direct contact with his office, even in early 2000, 1990s. But they cannot understand the possibility of the motion and the movement of the fields because they have to show something to be Americans. They have to have a rocket.
Can't you give them a plasma rocket, Mr. Keshe, in some way so they experience it?
They are invited to come to, well, what do you call it, to LITS. We know them personally. We have everything with them. Is respected, what do you call it, talk with number of, we don't talk to one person in NASA, we talk with a number of people in the top with NASA. We continuously deliver messages to them. And they read it because they gave us their WhatsApp. We didn't get, they gave us their Telegram, otherwise you don't have. And we continuously feed them what has been achieved, what it is, how they can use it in their system. It's just not NASA. Russians have bigger structure working around the technology application because we are very close to Russian work. Russians understand this technology much better than the Americans.
Why is that, Mr. Keshe?
They work on plasma much deeper. Tokamak is a Russian system. Tokamak, which most of like CERN and the rest, because Russian scientists are very deep. I've had a connection with the Russian space scientists since 1980s, 90s. I used to travel, I used to meet these scientists on one-to-one basis. We used to have an office, people who work for military, we used to have an office in Almaty, which I used to spend a lot of time there. And the head of the Keshe Foundation, or not Keshe Foundation, the head of my operation in Russia was headed and run by a gentleman called Mr. Batyka. And his father was like the head of KGB. We had access to anybody we wanted to talk. I wanted the information. I said, Mr. Batyka, he says, let me just ask Papa. We wanted to share the knowledge, we wanted to see. I've traveled the depth of Kazakhstan and Russia with scientists talking. Keshe, especially nowadays, Keshe Foundation, the group of space scientists in Russia who works on the plasma technology, they're trying to mix the tokamak with the Keshe Foundation plasma. And the Chinese, we know, they don't have the fuel combination, but they're working on it very hard.
You said that was very easy to produce, Mr. Keshe. You still not give them the recipe.
You remember that Coca-Cola bottle?
Yeah.
No, but everybody was thinking, what is that secret liquid? Caustic. You remember?
I do, yes.
So now it's the same thing. We make it easy that they don't see it.
That just amazes me. They have all this abilities and all this technology and all the money and everything behind them, and yet this single bit of knowledge that some knowledge seekers have and have given, and I know I'm saying the knowledge seekers know everything, but they have the information. A knowledge seeker, and yet you have these institutions and these corporations and governments and that are sat there waiting, and it's all dependent upon a very simple little plasma that needs releasing.
You see, it's how you look at it and how you brought up to look at it. Most of the knowledge seekers came to the knowledge through trying to understand something new. These scientists in these organizations, they are not after something new. They are trying to prove their points. And they push this organization their way. It's a big difference. Knowledge seekers come here to learn something new, something different. These people in the, what we call structure of these organizations, they become knowledge seekers, but they still have to conformity to be within what the government put in.
So they come with, as Jalal would say, they come with a full cup, and they need to empty their cup before they come.
No, they come with a tainted cup, and they have to clean the cup. And that taint comes from their wrong knowledge in the matter state. Nothing else. If they change their knowledge to plasma state. The Russian plasma scientists understand the Keshe Foundation techniques. Many of them, is hundreds of them. They work in a specific operation in Russia. We have contact with them. We know them. And they are amazing in their work. But still, whatever they do, they don't go the way we want to go. They want to go to be used, that Russia will be big and they'll be powerful military organization. If they go to share, if the Russian plasma technologists, knowledge seekers, come open the direction with the Keshe Foundation, you'll be amazed how much we can learn from them.
So they have the knowledge, and they just need to come forward to share it together collectively.
Yes, they have the part of knowledge which suits them. They don't go beyond it. They have to look at the plasma side, not matter plasma side. Which you knowledge seekers look at the plasma, because most of our knowledge seekers have no knowledge of the plasma the way scientists look at. They look at the plasma the way we taught it. You're all what I call virgin brain in plasma. That's why you understand it so easily. The plasma matter states scientists are framed in the thinking in the matter state. That's why they can't see this side. Very hard for them. Plasma physicists, especially with the PhD and degrees next to their name, they are hardest not to crack the block of steel. Because I used to, in Ghent University, there's a section which plasma physicists worked when I was used to go to university. And quite a large number of these plasma scientists in Ghent University are Iranian. When I discovered them, I was shocked. So with all the boycotts, with everything else, Iranian plasma physicists are more or less the only scientists which are allowed to come out of Iran and work with the international, but nobody knows about them. If you go to CERN, very large number of the CERN scientists are Iranians. Iranians are master in plasma physics. But when you speak to them, they're all matter state plasma. They don't understand the free plasma. And I had an encounter with them. I sat with them a few times in Ghent University when we were doing the test in there, because the university structure was very favor of the Keshe Foundation. We did a lot of work there. And they don't understand the physics plasma we talk about as knowledge seekers. You are like empty canvas, which you learn the knowledge through the knowledge of creation with the Ganses. These people have been taught plasma has an electron, you have to open it, and then this happens. None of you knowledge seekers talks about the electron and proton. Now you understand the difference. To get the plasma physicist to separate the neutron and a single electron and then put it through a fast whatever, and the accelerator and the rest of it. None of you speak about the plasma, use it for whatever you use it for painting, for toothache or whatever. Speak about the electron or neutron. You're well educated. You don't see it because you're rich in it. You don't understand matter plasma physics. There's a huge gap. It's as big as the distance between the Earth and the Moon.
We allow Mr. Kesh's knowledge seekers. We gathered the information, the experiences from your teachings, and we set an intention, and we use the plasma. We manipulate the plasma with our thoughts and intentions, and allow it to flow, and allow it to
you try
recreate.
To explain that to a plasma physicist, and they call you lunatic.
Okay.
If you say, if you tell somebody you use a GANS plasma for disinfecting or for a toothache or for space technology, they tell you you're crazy. I'm a plasma physicist. You don't understand. You're being fooled. But I use the water. I stop the corona. I use the water. I can walk. So who's the fool? It's separation between the two schools of knowledge. But what I teach you is a knowledge of the universe, the way the fields, we call it, plasma works. They're still after electrons, how fast they go and what it is, how they can accelerate it.
That's a great explanation, Mr. Kesh. I think that so how, on an emotional level, so what's the emotion that that sets this position for them where they will not allow and they will not get past the educational constraints that they've gone through?
It's called alphabet. The only thing which stops the scientists from universities to understand any new science or technology is alphabet. You know what it means? It's called BSc. It's called MSc. It's called PhD. That three letters create craziness. I have a BSc in physics. I know you don't know. You read 3 physics books in 30 hours of physics lecture in 3 years. Doesn't make you God. And you read the wrong books to start with anyway. The biggest problem, Chinese government realizes how their, advisors block new technologies. Because they carry, I'm a professor or I'm elite scientist. They block it because then it shows they know nothing.
How is the teachings going there, Mr. Kesh, with the education that is the plasma that is expanding and coming out and coming forward?
Where?
Everywhere. So through the teachings, in this very moment that you say people are listening in, are they receiving this information enough to actually to educate themselves and elevate themselves?
If they are there, they can do. It depends. If you are there, educate, test, and you see. You get the water and you have a pain and you put it on the pain and that water takes your pain away. You try to explain this to a plasma physicist. You try to explain this to a doctor. Says, no, you're crazy. It just happened. You think it's not there. You understand that that water carries the energy of a plasma, which you added to it as a GANS. It's hidden energy. He cannot understand it because it doesn't fit into the books he's read. I had a beautiful writing from one of our knowledgeable knowledge seekers, and he brought me a lot of joy. If I read it, he knows who he is. He wrote this to me a few days ago. I just read it for you. And it brought me so much joy that how our highly educated knowledge seekers in the specific, they're experts in their fields, now they understand the difference in the language, in the knowledge, that they didn't teach us these in the university, in our education. Just because he hasn't been taught doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's another way to look at it.
It's a viewpoint, yeah.
If you're open to it, this is what I always said. The biggest problem with the Keshe Foundation and ever, doesn't matter who is in power in Iran, is not the technology. They embrace the technology with open arms. We are the first space independent private company registered in Iran, as far as we know. Keshe Space Company is registered in Iran, which they don't allow nobody else to open a space agent because they know what it is, what it comes, what it will be done. But there is a big problem in Iran, as I said many times. They want to annihilate the state of Israel. They want to destroy that. They, as Ahmadinejad, the stupid guy, says, they want to wipe it off the face of the earth. They can't say the guy who's brought so much technology is half Jewish blood. They cannot sell it to Iran. This is the problem we have in Iran. How can you have a Jewish blood so devoted to a nation? It doesn't fit, so they have to keep it out.
Mr. Keshe, you said to step away from the Ganses and the these Magravs and everything, and do it on another level. So the expansion of the fields, the field interaction of the reactor inside ourselves, the sun inside ourselves. Will that not initiate and touch them on a soul level through the Universal Council and through the Earth Council and the core team and all the beautiful knowledge seekers that are present in this moment, being present in the moment?
You are a drop in the ocean. We have to gather many drops to create a new ocean. That's the only way I can put it.
Does it have to be planetary based?
Man has to change it from inside, otherwise the others have done it, but they want to do it. If you do it yourself, then you can't blame anyone. But if somebody else gets you to do it because they see the benefit of it, you go back to it or you blame them for it. And I know this firsthand. Man has to do it from inside. There's no use coming from outside trying to change the man inside. Because then he goes back to it and he blames the other did. We still wanted to kill and eat. I had this battle for nearly 15 years till very recently the person understood that it was a battle with himself, not understanding what was done was for his own benefit. And then he changed. He changed 180 degrees.
I've noticed that with the plasma, Mr. Keshe. It does have a distinct ability to flip and completely change its direction. It's that magnetical gravitational field interaction.
Elevation means understanding, doesn't mean becoming bigger. It's understanding. It's totally understanding. That's all it is. What do we understand?
What do we allow?
Yeah. It depends on what not who we allow, is what we would like to accept. It's a big difference. It's a very, very big difference. What we would like to accept. Anyway, we'll see what happens and how things take shape, how much we can educate. I think the point of change to come is, it has to come progressively. It cannot be as a shock in one way or the other.
Yeah, it's definitely a filtering process, Mr. Kesh. You taught this a long time ago. I remember one of the teachings you saying about this gathering the heavier, and then it gradually gets finer and finer until you get to the end. And then, but each one has its position and has its unique ability to be used in a certain way. So the filtering process, whether it's goes from the matter state through, it gradually filters through to the soul and becomes that essence of the sun, the essence of the universe and the creator. It's all part of us, and we are a plasma. The earth, the part of the system, that everything that we're involved in, everything that is us is a plasma. You're teaching about plasma, and it's that that condition of
change it to another word. Call it plasma life, because that's what it is. We always consider life as a physicality of breathing and moving. If you now understand the center of us is a field, and call life a plasma or a plasma life, you interact different way. You don't need an arm. Your arm extends the universe. You don't need a leg to walk. You can get anywhere instantly, the way we do in the systems. I know one of your wishes is to get into that room and get into the system. And I say it's not time. When it comes, you will jump across. But these systems are made for us to learn and to teach. And we had to bring knowledge seekers that you are part of it. Keshe Foundation is not an isolated things, they do things and they tell us. No organization has ever done what we did with you lot. How many of you, we came every week, sat there, waited whole day to go into that system. I sometimes think, my God, these people are so hungry to be part of the change. They come 9 o'clock and they don't get into the system till 5 o'clock, and they're happy that they got in and they can add something to the knowledge. You've seen them, huh?
Yeah, I have, Mr. Kesh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the first time a knowledge is created, tested, proven by number of people. It's not NASA, we choose, you do an exam and you come. A doctor, a layman, a housewife, a painter, a carpenter, anybody has walked through this system. And we didn't look at their physicality, we didn't look at their knowledge. We looked at what their soul brings that the system accepts and we can learn from. It's a big difference.
I just suddenly thought, Mr. Kesh, something just occurred to a thought. So have you placed, I don't know, obviously you will tell me if whether or not you can discuss this, but have you placed other beings, other entities, other souls within the system, like a flower or something else other than what we would describe as a being with arms, legs and everything? What about something else?
Yes, openly.
And the interactions, can you describe how do you know how the soul felt and what they expressed?
Oh, yep. You do not know what I carry in that room. You've seen me sometimes. I'm walking with things in my hand in there, I think.
I have, yes.
Yeah, so they just don't go in there for the sake of being in there. They go in for a purpose.
and they're adding to the soul of the totality of the unit.
Either way, I think nobody is close outside the structure of the people who make these things than you have seen what's going on in there. I think you and my bodyguard are the only one who actually monitors anything goes into that room.
Yeah, it's the souls that are present, that have been through there. I've encountered many beautiful souls, knowledge seekers, and the reason I asked that question is that when you come to understand the knowledge, you understand the beauty and divinity of everything. And many people know this, and in all sorts of expressions of life and walks of life and teachings and things. However, when you actually experience it on a plasma level, on a soul level, you do, as a knowledge seeker, touch another position and another field strength that does expand the consciousness of and the thoughts that you have towards another soul, towards another position. It makes you, it does touch you.
Yeah, it depends what you do with it. You've been there, you've seen, as I said, my protection officer is the only one who's literally always within meters of me, and he sees how people go in and how they come out. And sometimes I look at him and I think, God, this guy is not the knowledge seekers, but the things people come out and say, and he has to listen to what goes in his head. I mean, you've been there, when people go in and they come out and they explain their emotions or things they did. He's there, he listens, because he's got to be a few meters from me. You've seen him. I wonder sometimes, what does it go in his head?
He's a very beautiful soul, and I'm sure that he's receiving many field strengths from all the souls that are present that go through the system.
I mean, he's an amazing guy, but I sometimes wonder, somebody who's just is there in the line of protection officer, what does it go in his head, seeing these things coming out of no background of the knowledge? A total outsider.
I sense he knows a lot, Mr. Keshe.
You feel it because you talk to him.
Yeah, I think he knows a lot, yeah.
Anyway, thanks very much.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep you so long. Thank you very much for answering all those questions. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Good evening. Good evening.
Any other question? We call it a day. We had a long day today.
Yes, maybe one more question from Lynn, if you could.
Yep.
Are you there, Lynn?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Keshe, and good evening.
4 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing this time of day?
I'm celebrating.
Oh, that's good. What's happening? What are you celebrating?
Celebrating new life, a new world.
Tell us what's happening. What's your question?
Just one knowledge seeker asked, he had brought me a question. He said, "Hello, Mr. Keshe. Recently, I was studying your paper on ALS and concluded that the will to die is the ultimate cause of ALS. So, I think that the so-called natural death is not actually natural, but due to the same reason as ALS patients are will to die. Only the difference is that ALS patients have a very strong will to die, while others have a weaker will. Then, if we can rewrite our will, we can freely decide how long to use this body, that is our own lifespan, and we can quickly relieve it when the body is in pain or stress. So I would like you to comment on my views, which are correct and maybe not correct. So help me to correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you very much.
As many of you know, I did a lot of work on MS and ALS to see the effect and the progress in new technology and the will of the man. If you remember, we had a guy in Italy who we followed, he built up, and then his sequence of work was to die with ALS. And we've done a lot of work. I see in the background, even in some of them, there is a knowledge seeker here in the background. She would have died from MS years ago. She's here. She knows what I'm talking about. And we applied the process of the technology with her. And now is more than 15 years. She's still living more or less in a dimension of the normal life in MS. And she understood the reason why she enforced this on herself. And ALS is the same. ALS doesn't happen that every time they wish to die under control. It happens in the split of a second and for once. And it's so powerful that switches the emotion of life or the intention of life. Up to now, we had no knowledge. Now, with the knowledge, especially the new enhancement unit, we can turn that switch. Doctors came out with a lot of medicine, a lot of chemicals, a lot of things, psychosomatic, psychological medicine, or whatever. Nobody has ever looked at the soul, the emotion, the fields. And the new technology, plasma technology, as emotions are creation of the fields, is more or less will be the only technology that will be able to make that switch back. This will be proven by the world of science. I proved it in a way of physical plasma, not the new understanding of the plasma. And now, especially adding the cosmic rays to it, we can switch. Once that switch is switched, the guy doesn't even remember. It's like wanting to commit suicide. You go, you take a tablet, and you kill yourself. With these people, is emotional switch. It just happens, and that's it. They can't reverse it because it's happened. Is that the switch is locked. In the past, we could bypass this switch, but in the past, I've been in past 10 years, we could bypass the switch and change the condition. With the new technology, we don't bypass. We actually have the knowledge to create the switch, to flip that switch. I'm sure next few weeks and few months, a number of ALS patients will use these new technologies in most probably in Arizona, in Germany, in other places using our system. And you'll find out ALS will not be there. It's a switch of which gets stuck. It doesn't allow the life survival information to pass the switch. It's a physical entity inside the brain of the man. We know where it is, but it needs a field strength from the soul to switch it. And the new technology we have has that capability to switch it. In a way, it melts the lock. If you look at it, if you got the switch locked in the ice, you can't move it. You're trying to change the gear, but it's iced up. This technology has that power to de-ice it in a way, if you call it. This technology is made for psychosomatic conditions like ILS, MS, fibromyalgia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson. And we used to use, as I explained to Dean, technology of the plasma matter state. Now we are in a total plasma state, and the body of the man is plasma. It just goes, and it gets better. We're learning more, we're adding more. Now, if it takes 10 weeks, 15 weeks for our doctors in their centers to change their, let's say, Parkinson or Alzheimer's, with a new generation which is coming in with the cosmic rays, it should be within a day. You will see it, but then the body has to start learning to go back to normality. Then the brain has to rebuild to go to normality. You can switch the thing on, but you have to understand the rest of the system has shrinked, the rest of the brain has swiveled, it turned. Now it has to build and go back. It doesn't happen over time of 1 second. Months and months it takes to go back to normal.
Yeah, actually, one of our famous enterprise, Jingdong, one of his high-level management people has get LS, and he was fighting for several years and set up a committee in China for helping people which had the LS. I had approached his leader of his committee and the company. I had passed the paper to them, but unfortunately they cannot accept it right now.
They can never accept it because it doesn't make sense to them. It's not in the books. I'll keep quiet for a while and then we'll tell you what is about to come. In China, you suffered because of the decisions we made, what was going to happen, and now today we have concluded this matter. Hopefully by tomorrow it'll be done. But what we set up to do was actually bring a massive change in. We still hope that it'll be taking shape in one another. That once we publish something, there'll be a lot of work on it to research and develop it. We have to wait and see. I remember when we did the Italian ILS guy who was in a wheelchair. I don't know if you remember the videos that we followed him to go to the company, to the factory where he used to work, the office he used to work, to go back to work. And at the end, we bypassed the switch. We brought the will to it, but we couldn't dissolve the switch. Now we can. With the new technology, we can open that switch. And the only thing is the proof of the pudding is in eating it. Give us time. I think we hear a lot from John when people start using the facilities there. We hear from Germany, we hear from other places. When they start using this, and the people will come through it.
Yeah, I had a feeling the time is coming.
You know, we were talking with the factory people to start releasing the enhancement units last week. So the knowledge is there now. We started. But it still doesn't stop my biggest concern is that even though we can so advance, every 6 months, 12 months, we have to revamp these systems internally and all the enhanced because the technology is developing so fast that it becomes obsolete. Instead of just spending 10 weeks, you spend, what do you call it, 10 hours. You remember the gentleman with the Parkinson who came in
Yes.
the wheelchair and he was running after a few days.
Yeah.
So we learned so much in those systems. You saw the ladies in the wheelchair and they framed a few days later they're dancing in the hospital. You remember we have the videos of it.
Yeah.
So it is, technology is there, it's just a matter of now we could not do certain things with the new developments we can do.
That's all we are looking forward for, the more powerful.
It's not powerful, it's understanding.
Yeah, but you said the cosmic ray, that's most important technology
Yeah,
base.
but it's not a power, it's the knowledge, understanding it. It could be the weakest strength in cosmic ray which does the trick, not the most powerful.
Yeah. That's the beautiful of the plasma. I always call me a little plasma, right?
Let me ask you something here there. What are our 6 systems which we flew to China from Austria? Do you know where they are?
2 are in our office, but several still in the doctor, their hand. They haven't returned to us yet.
Can you collect them, please? We
Okay.
need, and I'll tell you what we're going to do with them. For those of you who don't know, we built a preliminary of these enhancement units, 6 of them in Austria about 3 years ago, maybe more, and we shipped them to China to be tested. And the academician who started tests with us, he is a military academician of the Chinese military hospital who worked with us with the systems. And the whole structure was to see, and we learned a lot from it, and it became the backbone of what you have as an enhancement unit. Thank you very much, Lynn. Go back to sleep. Thank you very much, everyone. Hopefully, we'll meet each other next week at the same time as normal, 9 o'clock in the morning. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. I'm so exciting. So Canal's falling asleep again.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. Thank you for yet another Knowledge Seekers workshop here, the 457th Knowledge Seekers workshop. And thank you, everybody, for attending today and for this later workshop. And as Mr. Kesh said, we'll be back next week at the 9 a.m. Regular time, so far as we know. And what else do we have for announcements? I think we have the One Nation coming up. Let me have a look at my calendar. That would be coming up on Tuesday, November 8th, and starting at 4 p.m. Central European time. That will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice. And so people are invited to listen to members of the Universal Council and also bring any issues or problems of your community to be solved in a soul-based way. Okay. I think that's it for announcements for now. Thank you, Mr. Kesh, once again, and for everyone for your participation today. And we'll go out with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version for a bit of inspiration. And bye for now. Oh, those with still have questions, please carry them over till next week's session. Okay, bye for now, everyone.